Alright, welcome to the actual coding portion of my video. I'll be describing the code as you see it here, all through the 700 lines that we have. I'll try to keep it fairly short and simple so you can actually understand it. So here is the array list. This is where we store the objects. It's the object container portion. Here is the con button class. This will be talked about later on. Here are the draw functions. These will draw specific sets of characters. So as you can see here are two of them, the Bitmoji Savannah and Bitmoji Daniel. The other three are the dinosaur animations. I'll bring it up here. So the dinosaur has a run function, so it just cycles through all three of them to make it run. Here is the terrain function. This just draws the terrain. I'll be pointing out the terrain right here. So these buildings right here, they're the terrain, the objects that the dinosaur actually has to crest over to progress in the game. Here is the player function. This actually is the player, which is right here, the dinosaur. So the dinosaur has a draw function, which cycles through all the frames of the dinosaur run animation. It also has the jump function. So if the dinosaur is on the ground, then it can also, if the spacebar is pressed, then it can go up -8 velocity. And lastly, it has a collision function. I just used rectangular collision for this, so it has a rectangle projected over it, and a rectangle projected over the terrain. And if they collide, then it calls this collision right here. Speed equals 0 is what we used to define the end of the game. And here is the star function. This is the stars that you see in the background right here. We use parallax mapping to define how they work. So the bigger they are, the faster they move. So that way it gives the illusion of a 3D environment. The mountains use a likewise ability. So the bigger they are, the faster they move. Right here you can see them. This is a ground function. This is the bottom part right here. It just draws stuff on the ground to make it look like it's actually moving when it is the player is actually not moving. Here's the emoji part of the code. This just draws in random emoji UFOs going by every so often. And here's the meaty build world function. This just populates all the arrays that you saw above with objects. Here is the buttons that I said I would talk about. So this is just defining them, because before we were defining their methods, now we're actually defining the buttons. Defining the player, defining the UFOs that will come through later, building the world. Here's a mouse clicked function. This is to handle mouse clicks for the buttons. And finally, here is the draw scene function. So we have three parts here: draw scene 0, draw scene 0.5, and draw scene 1. 0 is for the start screen, 0.5 is for instructions, and 1 is for the start, or the actual game itself. And that's about it. Thank you.